What's your inspiration? The South Bank Show, sponsored by the Open University.
The band first met as students at University College London in 1996.
Well, I really think we came to university with the same idea that we would try and form a band with some people.
I think what was quite important for us is we all knew each other for about a year before we played any music together, so we did have this friendship which was based purely on friendship rather than, you know, being musicians. Which I think is key to why we've managed to, you know, remain so close for so long.
Guy was attracted by your Fender Rhodes.
He was. He didn't like me at all. Guy thought I was really an idiot, and then he worked out I had this old piano in my room, and then he showed an interest. I think him and Will bonded through alcohol. We bonded through guitar. I got extremely excited and forced him to write a song with me.
So that stuff you were writing then at university, because before the end of university you'd got record contracts of considerable significance, and that's even before you took your finals. But in this little intermediate stage, which must have seemed interminable because you were driving forward, were you writing stuff that you've picked up on since, used since?
Yes, some of it we used on the first record.
One of the first ever bits we ever wrote made it onto our last record. It just was a verse that never had a chorus until 10 years later, a song called Violet Hill.
Oh, yeah.
But only the verse of that song is ancient, but it was just waiting for its chorus, like a sort of old spinster, and eventually it arrived.
As a young bride.
Yeah.
What's this about?
Well, this is a thing we wrote when we were 19 years old or 18. I think Will might have been 17.
So there's a lot of ticks and a lot of what are you saying there?
Well, we put this on a wall with some missions and some goals, and then we did them all. So then we wrote some new ones. So the first mission was to rehearse with Champ. That's Will, of course. First gig, that was an important part of the list. Second gig, third gig, fourth gig. Hundreds of lists.
Yeah.
But this was our first one.
And first and arguably most important.
Reinvent the wheel in an emotional way.
Yes. Well,
that's okay.
Yes.
It's quite a modest goal. We've got world peace up there somewhere.
Well, it's either that or write 900th gig.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As I'm talking to you, you're just coming to the end of 163 concert tour. It must be fun, isn't it, standing up there playing your music?
The feeling before we walk on stage I don't think will ever disappear. It's just such a great moment. It seems like we're on stage for about 5 minutes before we're coming off again. So it's always a thrill.
When you're playing live, it is a very addictive feeling, and it's hard to match it. When the lights go down, just something like whooshes through you.
Those 90 minutes or 100 minutes are so hyper-real. Everything is so full-on. It is the best possible thing you could want to do with your life. It just doesn't get any better.
When you release a record or start a tour, once all the press noise is over, you're left with whether the person in row J looks interested or not, or whether they're singing along, and that's the only time when I really know if something's good or bad. Yeah. So if you notice, because when you're singing in, I don't know, Wembley Arena, you can only really see the outline of the exits. So in some songs...
Oh, that's a nice message, isn't it?
No, but in some songs, all you can see is a clear doorway. And you can hear the crowd singing, so you think, wonderful, this song is great. And then it's when the light all starts getting blocked and everyone's going to the bathroom.
Toilet break song.
Then you're like, okay, that song's out.
We should never have put that song on the
album. I know some other singers judge it that way as well. You judge it by the bathroom breaks.
Not so much the litmus test as the lavatory test.
It's very much so. Yeah.
I think often the stuff that we are most proud of ends up coming from either a point of desperation or a total accident, or sometimes when we really sit down and let's write we need to write a big song or whatever, it never it always fails. But often when something is done quickly and a moment of kind of, whether it's starting from, like you say, a pastiche of another song or whatever, however it begins, it's often those things that end up being the most, the most
wonder why that
successful.
is.
I don't know. I think it's like anything, if you overthink things and you overcook things, they start to feel a little contrived. I think the best and purest things come from just, really an initial spark and that grows.
That came about two big decisions for you as a group. One was that you would split all proceeds 4 ways equally, and secondly that all 4 of you had to agree that the song was worth doing before it got through. Seems to me you could take forever, couldn't you?
Yeah, and invariably do, much to everyone's annoyance.
I just think it's very difficult to work on a song, or certainly release a song, knowing that one member of the band is unhappy with it or just plain doesn't like it. But there's always things which can be done there's always sort of bargaining tools which can be utilised to make something happen or not happen. So there's a lot of, within that rule there's a certain amount of give and take, which has to happen, as you say. Otherwise, we'd never release anything.
It tends to be Will against Johnny or me, who arguing about songs, but we always get there eventually. But Will is nicer than he looks, so if you just work on him long enough, you sure you don't like that song, Will? Yep. You sure we can't put that on? Absolutely not. If you just keep on that for months, eventually you'll say, well, I do see some merit in it.
What are the advantages of the 4 of you having an equal voice in whether the song gets through or not?
That means that critics don't know quite who to blame, which is a great thing.
What's your inspiration? The South Bank Show, sponsored by the Open University.